What is going on, Governor? It's Chisgule here, and today we're bringing you a Charlemagne Commander Guide. That's right, we're going to talk all about the skills, the talents, where you unlock this sucker, and the best pairings. If you like Rise of Kingdoms videos where we cover end game commanders, you should like and subscribe because that's the thing we're passionate about here, and we are a sponsored creator with Rise of Kingdoms. My friends, Charlemagne is an interesting commander, leadership conquering and skill trees. That is a configuration we have seen before, in particular on Freddy the First. Let's dive right into the skills, because this commander has some unusual ones. First skill, I find unimpressive. Direct damage factor of 1,400. That's it. Womp womp. Boring. I'm just saying, on Khan, it's 1,700. On Freddy, it does, if you had the expertise skill, 2,400 damage. Without it, it's like 1,920 damage on average. Over here, you've got damage factor 1,400, plus without the expertise skill, it's like a damage factor of an additional 600. I'm just saying that as far as first skills go, this is really weak. Super, super weak sauce. I wonder if the other skills make up for it. Let's find out. Second skill. While on the map, so I presume that means not in your city and probably not... Buff fired off. What the heck? Not in the city and not in a flag or a fort or anything like that. All troops under your command have a 10% chance to gain a shield when they're attacked. This lasts for 4 seconds and can take a large amount of damage, damage factor 1,000. Now this is interesting. A shield for 1,000 when you're getting attacked is really compelling, especially if there's no internal cooldown. Internal cooldown means that when the skill triggers, there isn't some mandatory wait time before it can trigger again. Most skills have an internal cooldown of 10 seconds that look like this one here, so I would bet it's got a 10-second internal cooldown. We'd have to test it to figure out. If there's no internal cooldown, then that is freaking busted good. Busted good. And the reason is that when we launch rallies, swarming a rally is a thing that happens. And this is your anti-swarm technology. Sweet if what you're doing is launching a rally with this commander, and good news, you get a solid 10% army attack and defense when you launch a rally with this commander. So there you go. They're all about launching those rallies, and the anti-swarm technology will be needed. This skill, Paladin, is perplexing, and I think a lot of people are misinterpreting it. Here's my interpretation, but let me know if I'm right or wrong on this one. Every 10% reduction in his army's strength, Charlemagne's skill damage increases by some percentage, and it's a higher percent when you're attacking cities. When it's reduced to less than 70%, Charlemagne's skill damage will be increased by a maximum of 3%, 6% when attacking cities. I read that as, in the very best case, when you get below 70%, you have a 15% damage boost for skill damage, and 30%, no, it's 21% if you're hitting a city. This is also very unimpressive to me. This is very unimpressive to me, because if we compare to a commander like Yi Song-Ye, he just gives you 50% all the time with no downside, no conditional. So, I honestly can't figure this commander out. Maybe they're good. As far as I can tell, though, just by reading. I'm just saying. It does not inspire me. This would have to be, I'd have to be misinterpreting this to be like every 10% it gives the 5% bonus, and in addition it gives the 15% or the 21% bonus when you're at 70%. It's just no. I'm pretty sure this gives 15% skill damage if you're in the field and 21% if you're hitting a city. We've seen better. The expertise skill is specific to hitting cities. When attacking a city, 10% fewer of your troops will die and instead will be severely wounded. Now, the thing about this is that while that sounds cool, I would much rather have 10% fewer of my troops die because I did more damage, or I took less damage, right? Or I had some ability that was otherwise freaking awesome. This, it's fine. Like, I like fewer troops dying, but it's awfully specific to just hitting cities. If this was against everything you hit, this commander would be awesome. If this just said when attacking 10% fewer of your troops die, that would be freaking sweet. That would be sweet. I still would rather have the things that do more damage or more healing or more whatever that makes it so I don't get in that situation, but this is awfully specific. So these skills point us to this commander being a rally leader against cities if you want to actually maximize all of their skills. Which, like, how often are we doing that? How often does that happen, really? Let's get a look at the talents. The talents will help us figure out what the heck to do with this commander. Now, I mentioned before that conquering, skill, leadership is exactly the same as other commanders we've seen, and to make it a little easier to illustrate the builds, I'm just going to show this to you on Freddy, because I've got Freddy expertise. Sorry. I've got him to level 50, not expertise. But higher level, certainly, than my level 10 or level 1 Charlemagne. Anyways. There are several builds you can use. One theory that I like is the rage generation to the max through the roof. That's the strategy. If you're going that route, you're going to want feral nature, and then you're going to want to make your way over to strategic prowess, extra points going into perhaps fresh recruits, although if you're leading rallies, which you should be, you might just drop those points over here to armed to the teeth. If what you want to do with this commander is maybe stay away from the skill tree, but focus more on the leadership tree, you would get Rejuvenate first, then head over to Strategic Prowess, and lastly make your way over to Name of the King. That is a build I think is really well suited for rallying stuff. That's what it's designed to do, and I think it does it quite well. The third build that we'll include is a city hitting build, which I think is only sort of interesting. Since we already have 10% reduction of troops that die, we may as well go for an additional 10% reduction with Tear of Blessing. We drop all the way to the max Meteor Shower, then head over to Rejuvenate. From here, we've got some options with where we put our points. I certainly wouldn't leave home without Hidden Wrath, and then you could start to make your way over for some incidental value from skills, or talents rather, like Tactical Mastery and Heraldic Shield. I'd stay away from Naked Rage because this is a commander that's likely to get swarmed, and that means you're taking a lot of skill damage, certainly a lot more than you're dishing out, which would really give me pause before picking this up. Those are the three builds that we would be playing around with on our Charlemagne. Now, Charlemagne is an interesting commander to unlock. They are available only through KVK achievements. After you've unlocked them, you can use Universal Sculptures, but I haven't exactly given the most glowing endorsement for putting your Universals into this commander. Heck, I've not even put the stars and experience into them to unlock the second skill. The order in which I would max out these skills is as follows. I would max the first skill. I would then max the second skill. I would then max the third skill, and then the fourth skill. Wasn't that easy? We just go in order. I would just go in order with this commander. Now, the pairings are where things start to get kind of interesting. Let's walk through them, because this is a commander that can get paired with just about anybody, because they're not specific to any troop type. You could bring all archers or even a mixed army, quite frankly, with Yi Seong-Ye as primary or secondary and feel really quite good about that if you're rallying a flag. Rallying a city, forget about it. You really should be bringing a different commander. If you are rallying cities, don't use Cao Cao. If you're rallying flags, probably still don't use Cao Cao. I think we can do better than bringing full cavalry, although it is an interesting idea. Richard I is an interesting concept for a pairing. There's not particularly much synergy there, especially because there's no active skill damage that would get boosted here, so I actually would shy away from using this commander as a pairing from Charlemagne for both hitting cities and also for hitting flags. Minamoto is kind of an interesting idea. You could pair with Minamoto and bring all cavalry, but I'm just not all that excited about it. I think we can find better. Charles Martel is another commander where I feel like we can find a better pairing. We need a commander that does big skill damage, since what we're trying to do here is maximize our synergy with Charlemagne, and Charlemagne elevates skill damage. Hannibal Barca is an interesting pairing. I don't hate it, I don't love it. I like that if you're hitting a city, like, yeah, there is value here, and there is healing value, and I like that. That said, there's not all that much skill damage to be elevating on this commander, and for that reason, I think it's a okay pairing at best. Khan is a fascinating pairing. You would probably want Khan to be the primary for that rally that you're launching, and yeah, I guess if you're bringing all cavalry, that could be kind of interesting. You're elevating skill damage, which is pretty sweet, and you're giving Khan some tanking capability. I don't know if it's going to be better than Khan Cao Cao, though. Cao Cao seems way better, so this is not a pairing that I think is particularly good. If you're using Khan, you'd probably use Cao Cao, not Charlemagne. Up next is Freddy, and now we finally reached the point where there's some synergy we can talk about. I like that Freddy is going to do big damage, and that skill damage will be elevated. I like the healing to pair with the shielding, and there is some city damage boosting going on here. I like this combination. I don't think it's the best on the face of the earth, but I think it's pretty decent, and I think you can feel pretty good about this combo. El Cid is a commander that is really interesting, mostly because of this skill here. You could use Charlemagne paired with El Cid, and it wouldn't be the worst, but I feel like we can probably find better. Don't pair with Cleo, come on. Ethelfled is interesting as a pairing. I actually wasn't expecting it to be, but the debuffing is good. The slowing doesn't make sense, but you're going to get damage increase over here from that slowing. And you can elevate the size of the rally, which is actually deceptively good. I think we can do better, though. I think we can do better. You'd have to be in a really early kingdom, and what really early kingdom has been through KVK? I mean, no. This is probably not the pick. However, Saladin is kind of an interesting choice. Saladin is a very interesting choice. If you were hitting a city, there's definitely synergy here, and the tankiness that's added here pairs really nicely with the shielding that you're going to be getting from Charlemagne. If you brought all cavalry, you could feel pretty good about this pairing, and I kind of like it. It is one of my preferred pairings, certainly for hitting cities, and also if you were rallying an objective. Julius Caesar, I think, is an okay pairing, but not stupendous, because he doesn't have active skill damage. It's going to be hard to find a really excellent pairing here. If you're hitting a city, there's definitely good synergy, and there is some active skill damage, just not much, and it only hits when you've got the expertise skill in play. Now, here is some synergy that I think is real. Mehmed II paired with Charlemagne, that's actually a pairing that you could write home about. Mehmed II's all about hitting cities, so that synergy is serious. It's elevating the number of troops that you can bring, which is an A+. It's elevating the damage. It does a lot of damage itself. This is the combo. And that's awfully specific that I'm saying, yeah, use these two commanders only as a combo. But, Mehmed II and Charlemagne, that's the combo. Hit cities with it. And okay, we have achieved escape velocity with that pairing. But that's about it. Alexander the Great's just busted good. I guess you could bring full infantry and pair it with Charlemagne, and it'd probably be actually really great. But that's just because Alexander the Great is totally busted good. That's not because they have particular synergy. In fact, they really don't, because Alexander the Great is shielding and Charlemagne wants skill damage, so not an amazing pairing. In a similar vein, no active skill damage here, so not an amazing pairing to go with our friend Charlemagne. I do, however, like this boost over here to all troop types and the defense stats is really quite good. I think this one-time heal is interesting, but not insane. Um, Probably don't pair with Constantine. Just stick with Mehmed II. When you unlock your Expertise Charlemagne and Expertise Mehmed II, we've now referred to probably less than 50 players in the game, maybe less than 30 players in the game who have that pairing. I don't know. Somebody prove me wrong. Have you used Charlemagne? Is this commander good for something other than hitting cities in a very narrow fashion? I don't know. I'd love for Charlemagne to have more viability in more places. You tell me if he does and how you're using him. Let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.